Chris Dodd,
John McCain, Dianne Feinstein, Duncan Hunter,
Carl Levin, Lindsey Graham,
Barbara Boxer, Trent, Lott, Mike Huckabee,
Laura Bush, Bobby Jindal. Can you speak, Bubba, and how did you reach out to them? How did you break down the barrier?
Well, two things. I think the reason we lost last time was more of a lack of familiarity. We came out of nowhere in the polls. We were polling at 3% when we got in. Surprised a lot of people by getting in the runoff. Had 6 weeks to introduce myself to a large portion of our population. I think the reason Republicans did so poorly in 2006 wasn't that the country stopped being conservative. It was the party stopped being conservative. And I spent this weekend, Friday night, at an Elmo show, yesterday at the zoo with my kids. And I basically said, look, if I go down as being one of the more effective but more boring governors, I think that's great.
And there's going to be a little tug-of-war between the environmental community and the fire control community. It's been teed up for a long time, and George, we need to have this debate, and I think we've got to have a margin of safety.
I think things went as well as could be expected. I think everybody moved very quickly. Chertoff was out, the head of FEMA was out. The governor's been on the scene. The president came out early, which really is appreciated.
Except for FEMA staging its own press conference, everybody seems to be working together and doing it well at this point.
And that's what this hot rhetoric does when it's just constantly repeated about World War III, or that we're going to use a military option. Vice President Cheney just goes way too far. The president went too far this week.
President Bush is not the problem here. It's the Iranian regime and their rhetoric and their actions.
If they continue on a certain course, it's 3 to 10 years away. We don't want that to happen. It doesn't have to happen. One of the ways to make it worse, it seems to me, is to keep talking about World War III, war, and all the rest.
You do need to be careful about rhetoric, but you also need to be taking some actions and applying a lot of pressure, diplomatic pressure, economic pressure. I thought what they did with regard to the accounts of this Revolutionary Army was the right thing to do.
Those who supported that resolution on September 26th, that'll be one of the justifications that the Bush administration gives for military action in Iran if it comes. And I believe we're getting precariously close to that happening.
If this doesn't work out, will you seek re-election to the Senate?
Haven't made that decision yet, and I'm counting on this working out.
But why didn't you say that back in 2002?
Well, good question. I mean, that was one of the reasons I think we were there. The fact that the weapons of mass destruction were there and the possibility of accumulating. We're all drawn into that. I regret that vote, obviously. I'd like to have it back. You can't. I've said as much. It was a mistake in my view.
Well, you know, sometimes people say we've never found the weapons. Just because we haven't found them doesn't mean they didn't exist. We haven't found Jimmy Hoffa either, but we know he exists.
Well, is abortion a Holocaust?
I think it is. When you think about millions and millions of completely innocent, unborn lives that have been terminated before they ever had a chance to live, I don't know what else you can call it. As long as you're getting kicked in the rear, you're still out front. You know, the fact is, yesterday I went pheasant hunting in Iowa. Something I've learned about hunting. You never point your gun at the carcass of a dead animal.
What I would start treating him as what he is, a totalitarian dictator who is bent on consolidation of power and countering the United States' best efforts. I'm hoping that whoever is the nominee of our party, that we will support that nominee. But it's hard for me to imagine that someone who holds the views on some of these issues and a record of it would be, at the end of the day, the nominee of the party. Whatever we do, I think we'll have enough money to be competitive.
Are you at all torn by Senator Clinton's candidacy? I mean, this is the woman
No.
You're not?
No, not really. I mean, I'm looking forward to voting for a Republican woman, whenever that is, but I'll be supporting the Republican.
But this is the woman who's got the best chance any woman has ever had to be elected president.
I know it, but I'm going to be voting for the Republican.
And Hillary Clinton was there. And I said, quite frankly, here you have the hawkish side of the Democratic Party. If they get together, the bumper sticker will read, "Invade and bomb with Hillary and Rahm."
Talk too much.